When I moved out of the dorms into my first apartment, I thought I had everything planned out. I felt comfortable in my ability to budget, do my own shopping, and maintain my own space. While I was successful in many of these aspects, it was soon revealed that apartment living was to be more difficult than I had initially expected. As I worked through these challenges, I gained a better understanding of what makes a successful apartment. And instead of talking about apartment living in a way that has been done before, I'd like to share some small things I didn't realize before embarking on this journey, focusing on one area: your kitchen. Your kitchen will only be usable when the small things add up. It's my hope that this will take your apartment from livable to lovable. Let's talk about some of the things I wish someone had told me prior to moving into an apartment. Firstly, I wish someone had told me how difficult it was to store things in your kitchen. At home, you probably have a drawer full of Tupperware you slam closed after throwing in another piece, praying it doesn't fall. In your new apartment, unless you bring these, you won't have them. Storing leftovers, meal prepping, and packing a lunch all demand storage containers. I recommend getting some plastic ones in various sizes. Having the ability to put leftovers in your fridge, pack up a small amount for lunch, and save the rest for later is incredibly helpful. Before you make the food, you'll have to go purchase it, and it is here that reusable bags are incredibly beneficial. In addition to being environmentally conscious, being able to carry things from place to place, store to store, and in and out of your apartment is a big deal. There will come a time in which you have to carry something, and if you don't have a bag or backpack to do it with, you'll regret it. Now that we've talked about storing items, let's talk about the kitchen items themselves. If you have your own kitchen and plan on cooking, you're going to have a moment in which you need something you don't possess. A good spatula, whisk, and spoon are incredibly important. Being able to serve something, stir something, and scrape something out might seem like mundane activities, but they will become incredibly cumbersome if you don't have the right equipment. Within my first week of college, I found myself running to the store to purchase these. Back home, you probably had a baking sheet, dish, pan, or pot that matches exactly what your recipe is calling for. When you get to your first apartment, it may not cross your mind to run the gambit when it comes to acquiring cookingware. In my first year, I found the following items I have needed: a square and rectangular baking dish, several baking sheets, as well as multiple sizes of both pots, pans, and bowls. It may feel like you have too many, but having multiple is a great way to ensure you will always have one available. Too often in my first apartment did I make a recipe and need a specific item, only to realize it was already dirty or in use from the same recipe. Finally, you need more bowls, plates, and cups than you think. You may think that I'm only living with two other people, so 5 plates is totally good. But trust me, you want extras. It doesn't matter if you're having guests and need to serve others, or simply need to grab a clean plate when the others are dirty. You will find yourself grumbling if you only have a few. Ultimately, I wish someone had told me all these things before I moved in. There is a myriad of great advice out there about approaching your first apartment. Where to live, what your budget should be, and what to bring are all common topics, but I wish someone had mentioned to me that the small things were what made my space much more usable. I hope with this kitchen knowledge, you'll avoid the pitfalls I went through and love the new space you find yourself in.